Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminolly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today is Sunday and you know what that means, don't you? Yes, that's right, I'm going to talk bollocks. So today's video is one of those listicle type things. There are 5 things that I want to talk to you about. With the common theme that they are all things that publishers do, which I think smack of dickishness. I do get that publishers are in the business of making money and they do that by selling books to us readers. But there are some things they do that I think are definitely more dubious than others. So anyway, as this is a list type video, it may have a semblance of structure, which will make it completely unlike any previous Sunday Bollyx video. So anyway, without further ado, let me get into the list. Okay, so item number 1 is prefaces, forewords, introductions, etc. So I was prompted, in fact, to make this whole video by a conversation I had with Jolene at Bookworm Adventure Girl. So we're doing a buddy read of Lonesome Dove at the moment by Larry McMurtry. And Jolene's edition of Lonesome Dove has a preface written, I think, by McMurtry, which completely spoils the book, apparently. So fortunately, my older paperback edition does not have said preface. So the book remains unspoiled for me. But yeah, Jolene sadly made the mistake of reading the preface and now knows things about the book that she didn't know until she'd finished reading the book. And this seems to be something that publishers do a lot. They particularly do it with classics. And I kind of get why, in that they assume that, classics have been around for long enough that people will know the ending. But for God's sake, just put if you want to include a little essay about the book, put it at the end. Or put a big warning at the front of it saying, don't read this if you don't know what happens in the book. I do not understand why they do this. I get that they think by adding additional content to the book, they're, creating a better value package for the reader. But for God's sake, don't ruin the whole book in the first few pages, just for the sake of it, really. I really don't get that one at all. Okay. Number 2 is something that's much less frequent. So I think the prefaces thing happens a lot. This next one, I think, happens less frequently, but I do think it's a bit shit. And that is publishing short stories as a single volume. So you see this with Stephen King books quite a lot. So for example, I think you can buy all 4 of the stories that are in the Different Seasons collection as individual volumes. Why you would do that and not just buy Different Seasons, I don't know. And similarly, I think you can buy some of his longer short stories from like Skeleton Crew, like The Mist, I think you can buy as a single edition, which seems weird. Another good example of this bad thing is the story The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn, which the publishers pushed out as a very slim single edition in the wake of Gone Girl, when it became obvious that she wasn't going to write any more books for a while and they needed to milk that opportunity as quickly as they could. So they published in a single edition The Grown Up, which is also available in another book called Rogues, which was edited by George R.R. Martin, which is only like about £1 more expensive. And in that book, you get not only that story, but a load of other stories by a load of other writers as well, which I think is much better value. So rather than republishing Rogue and making it more obvious that it had this Gillian Flynn story in it, they decided to push it out as a single volume just to really milk the reading public. So that was number 2. Number 3, so this one I've labelled as publishing substandard books because the author got popular. So this is the thing that publishers do, kind of a bit like similar to the previous one, where an author has a really big hit and the publisher thinks, shit, we need to get some more books out of this author, but the author's not writing anything more or is struggling with their new book or something. So they find an old book that had previously been rejected by publishers and push that out instead. I think a really good example of this is Armada by Ernest Cline, which I think is a book he wrote when he was at school, which was pushed out by the publishers in the wake of the success of Ready Player One. Ready Player One I thought was pretty good. Armada really isn't that good at all, and it definitely feels like a book written by an adolescent. Another example of this would be The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix, which I believe is a novel that he wrote about 10 years ago, which was rejected by publishers. But then as he suddenly became more popular, the publishers decided that actually maybe they shouldn't have rejected it, and they pushed that out. So I think, and I certainly think that of all the Grady Hendrix books I've read, I think Final Girl Support Group is the least good one. I really didn't like it much at all, whereas there's other books I thought were great. So yeah, another good example of publishers trying to milk the public for as much money as they can by pushing out books that probably should have been rejected. Should have been left rejected, should we say. Okay, next one. This is a particular bugbear of mine, and it makes me feel all self-righteous because it's because I think it taps into our concerns about the environment and things like that. So that is people selling Kindle books for more than the paper books. I get somehow or sometimes how that might be. It might be a valid strategy, I suppose, if you're a publisher and you've got loads of copies of the paper book that you can't sell, and you might just want to get rid of them because they're taking up warehouse space or whatever. But I just looked on Amazon and found a load of new books that have just come out where the Kindle version is more expensive than the paperback. And bear in mind, this is Amazon as well. So not only have they printed this book out, but they're going to post it to you as well. So I'm sure I know there is an environmental cost, or a carbon cost to anything digital, but I'm sure that the carbon cost of a Kindle book is nowhere near the carbon cost of a printed paper book that is then shipped across the country to reach somebody. So if we have a quick look on Amazon, so I found very quickly Sunrise by the Sea by Jenny Colgan, which is the fourth of the Little Beach Street Bakery books. Now here's a fact you won't know about me. I've actually read the first of the Little Beach Street Bakery books by Jenny Colgan, which are kind of cosy Cornish romances, and I actually thought it was really good. It's completely out of brand for me, but yeah, I quite liked it. But anyway, you can buy the paperback of that book from Amazon, including delivery if you're a Prime member, for £4.49, or you can buy it on Kindle for £4.99. Similarly, The Prison Doctor. So I don't know if this is the same in other countries, but in the UK at the moment, there's a real boom in memoirs written by doctors. I don't know why. This book, The Prison Doctor, which was published on the 17th of March, paperback £4, including delivery, Kindle edition £4.99. And then finally, and this is the one with the biggest margin between the two prices, A Line to Kill by Anthony Horowitz. I quite like Anthony Horowitz's books, I have to say, so I may read this at some point. Although it looks like it's book 3 in a series and I haven't read the first 2. So this one is £4.49, paperback delivered, £7.99 on Kindle. The last one then, so number 5. So this was one that was suggested to me by William Smits, a fellow booktuber, in a comment on a post I put on my community tab. And this is about publishers republishing previously published books with additional content in, so that people have to buy them again. And I think this is very much feels like kind of the same thing as like the special edition thing that happened in the DVD market in particular. So it's something that happens in movies at the point when the technology has been around for a while. So if you imagine, we went from VHS to DVD to Blu-ray, now to 4K. And every time we skip to a new format, they make us buy all the movies we love again. But what they do, when you get to the end of the life cycle of a format, but the new format isn't quite out yet, so they haven't got that new market to exploit to make you buy it in a new format, then they release it on the old format again, but with new features. So like a director's commentary, or some little documentaries or adverts or whatever. So they always do that. Towards the end of the life cycle of DVD, lots of stuff got reissued with new special features and things like that. And they do that with books as well now. So you might get a short story collection that's been out for a few years, and then they republish it with another short story in it that you can't get any other way. So you end up buying the whole book again just to get a new piece of content. And similarly, I talked about with Lonesome Dove. the fact that there's now, you know, the newer versions have this introduction by the author in it. So again, you know, publishers encouraging you to buy a new copy of a book you already have because it's got some new content in it. Now, again, I get that publishers are trying to make money, and I get that they may think that they are offering a better value proposition for customers. But equally, they could keep selling the old edition and leave a link in it, like a QR code or something like that, that took you to a web page where you could read that. So people who'd already bought the book didn't have to buy it again to get that content. So yeah, I do think that they are, well, you know, it's business, isn't it? They'll do anything to get our money. So that's 5 things from me that I think publishers do that are a bit dickish. If you've got any, do let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think of the 5 I've come up with. Let me know if you've got any more. As always, I hope you're safe and well. Hope you are reading good stuff, and I will speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.